Hey guys, we are back in the kitchen now that we have finished decorating for the holidays. Except this is kind of going to be decoration too, because we are now going to make a gingerbread homestead. All right, well, it's only going to be 2 buildings, but it'll have the air of a homestead. Let's put it that way. So I, of course, did not get any butter out to soften. So we are going to just put it in the microwave for a couple little bursts and see if we can get it soft enough to make our gingerbread. So this recipe is supposed to make 2 7-inch gingerbreads. However, I'm getting this recipe because I just watched Becky at Acre Homestead do her gingerbread house, and the gingerbread recipe that she used seemed to come together really well. And I've never found a really great gingerbread recipe. I've made gingerbread houses many times, but it's always kind of hit or miss with the actual recipe. So I'm going to try this one. But she said that it would be really close to do 2 7-inch gingerbread houses. And the gingerbread that I am making is a little more, there's a lot of pieces. It's not just kind of your standard gingerbread house. So I'm going to make a batch and a half. So we need, first of all, a 1.5 cups of butter. So we're going to get that into, actually, sorry. We are supposed to start by sifting together the dry ingredients. So we'll do that first. All right, so we are starting out with 7.5 cups of flour in here. And then we need 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Make sure we have the right thing here. Half. And it says we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt, but I'm not going to do 3/4 of a teaspoon. So, well, okay. I'll do close to 3/4 of a teaspoon. Salt. And then we just need ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves. I do not need allspice. Have it out, but we don't need it. So I'm just going to get all of these in there. I've been seeing a lot of people using fresh, like the actual nut of the nutmeg itself, and like using a microplane to grate it fresh when they're using it. And I kind of wonder, since I'm not a huge nutmeg fan, I kind of wonder if I would like nutmeg better if I was using it fresh like that. So I might have to try that. So 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cloves. I know it says sift, but I'm just going to use a whisk, and it should do just fine getting it all mixed up. All right. Now in here, we are going to get the butter. Which, like I said, we are doing 1.5 cups of butter. So we'll get the butter and the sugar creaming in here. And then we can beat in the eggs and the vanilla. I am using my powdered eggs again, so I just have it starting to rehydrate here. All right, then we need 1.5 cups of brown sugar. And actually, it does have us including the eggs right now. So we'll just get those in there. And we're just going to beat this until it's nice and fluffy and scrape down the bowl a couple of times. Right, I think this looks nice and fluffy. So now we will get the molasses and vanilla in. And we need a 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla and 1.5 cups of molasses. A little trick for molasses or any like sticky thing that you are trying to pour out. If you spray your cup or your spoon, whatever you're using, with oil of any kind, it will just slide right out, mostly. And it doesn't all, but much easier than trying to do it with a dry cup. A little bit left in there, but look at that, nice and clean. And then our teaspoon and a half of vanilla. Another trick, if you can't open a store-bought lid, I need to open more molasses here. You just stick a spoon right underneath the lip of the lid and kind of press it outward. It should release the seal and then it opens easier. Ah, look at that. All right, and then all we're gonna do is add in our flour a cup at a time, probably on a fairly low setting so it doesn't go all over the place here. And this is gonna be a pretty stiff dough. So even my machine is having trouble mixing this. It is so stiff and it's a lot of dough, so not terribly surprising. I got flour everywhere. So I'll probably just do a quick extra mix. Whew, if I can get this off of here. There we go. Look at the flour mess. That's all right. We will clean this all up later. So this recipe doesn't recommend this necessarily. Actually, she doesn't recommend it at all. But I found that in working with a dough like this, even though it's a really stiff dough, it tends to be still very sticky. So, and you don't really want to incorporate it, especially when you're rolling it out multiple times. You don't want to incorporate a ton of flour each time you're having to roll it out. So I like using parchment paper to roll it out. However, it also needs to chill for a bit. So we are going to just use our parchment paper that we'll roll it in to wrap it up and put it in the fridge for a bit. I'm actually going to divide this into roughly 3 blocks here, since I did make a recipe and a half. I'll kind of try to make it into a nice rectangle so that when I'm rolling it out when it's cold, it's already basically in that shape. All right, so we are going to, it says 4 hours. I think I'm going to put them on a tray and put them in the freezer. So they'll cool a little bit quicker, more like maybe an hour. But we were going to get them in there and cooling down. Okay, you guys, got completely distracted yesterday and did not get back to the gingerbread house. But now we are. Thankfully, I did remember to take it out of the freezer, so it is not frozen solid right now. It's just been sitting in the fridge overnight. So we will set that aside for a second so it can warm up just a tad. And I'm going to kind of explain my plan. So I went online, and you can get templates for gingerbread houses online fairly easily. And you can get everything from super simple to super complicated. Unfortunately, the farmhouse templates were really simple, and I wanted something a little more complex. So I ended up spending several hours last weekend building my own template. Even with my terrible math skills, I actually think that it is going to work. I taped it all together to like make sure that it was going to stand up, and it did. So I think we're good. So I have all of the pieces for that template here. I don't have a picture of it. I'll see if I can find one and put it up on the screen. And then the other one that I'm doing is one I did find a template for, and it's this cute little barn. Isn't that adorable? So I have that template, and she put a little horse template with it, and the weather vane to make out of frosting, and some cowboy hats to put on the gingerbread cowboys. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do those, but it's there. Anyway, so that is the plan for the gingerbread. So we need to get this rolling out. Let me remind myself. So we need the oven to be at 350, so I'm gonna put it at more like 365. Roll it out to 1/4 inch thickness, and then bake for 15 minutes until golden brown. It's really difficult to tell with gingerbread because it's so dark when it's golden brown. So you really just kind of have to keep an eye on it. I'll probably end up baking it a little bit longer than 15 minutes just to make sure that it's really like crisp and it's not soft at all in the middle, because you want your gingerbread to be like crunchy because you don't want it to smush and collapse as you're starting to build it. So let's get rolling out and the oven preheating. No, we'll do this way. So they do make these really great rolling pins that you can have like little guides on. I don't have one of those, but it doesn't allow you to roll something out any further than the guides will allow it to. So if you have one of those, this would be super helpful, because the other thing that you do want when you're making gingerbread is to have it be very even thickness. Good. I definitely am going to have to use a bigger chunk of it, because my largest piece is going to be this guy here, and like that would not fit. So I'm definitely going to have to use at least one large sheet. Well, and like even this one would just barely fit. So, but I have a ton of small pieces. All right, because I've got all of these little pieces that are like parts of the deck and the chimney. Yeah, see, these are chimney. Step. Okay, I think those are all the little pieces. And then like Some of them I've put that I need to cut out 2 of them on it. But the other thing that, chimney top, sorry, let me actually get this. Deck facing, step, stoop, chimney top back, back stoop, stoop side times 2. Okay. The other thing I need to do is, like, these look very similar, but they are for different pieces. So I have to make sure that so I think maybe what I'll do is I'll do the porch and deck stuff first on this one, and I will put the chimney stuff on a different pan. I think that's probably the best idea. And there we go. Awesome. So I do need to do 2 of these, so I'll probably have to roll out just a little bit more. So a good tip, at least I've tried this in the past, and I feel like I remember that this worked well. So let's find out if it did. But instead of using a knife to cut, if you use a pizza cutter, it doesn't distort the dough as much, which you want to have as clean of lines as possible so that when you're putting things together, they actually fit. Yeah. Put everything a little close. So I might have to use a knife for some of it, but I'm actually going to remove the dough I'm not using first so that I can just transfer this whole sheet to my pan. Again, we're trying to keep these pieces as undistorted as possible. And every time you lift them up, they're going to have distortions because it'll stretch. The dough is stretchy. So in hindsight, maybe not the best idea to try and fit everything so tightly. Also, actually do not want to bake them this close together. So yeah, this was a bad idea. We're gonna redo it. Well, I'm gonna see what I can salvage, and then we'll probably have to redo some of them. Some of these little guys I can probably pick up without distorting them. So let's get fresh sheet on a pan. This one I'm definitely gonna have to redo. But not too bad. The others all transferred well enough. So I need to make one more of both of these, and then I will redo this guy as well. Try to make sure there aren't a ton of because the paper is wrinkling on this as I'm rolling it out. I think for the most part it'll won't show up, but I'm trying not to leave any huge deep gouges. And then I think the other tip, oh, that is still pretty thick. Is to loosen your dough from both sides before you cut it out, because it was sticking to the bottom when I was pulling those ones off. Okay, so you can kind of see a little bit how some of these got distorted on the edges because they were stuck to the templates. These I'm not so worried about because they're just steps and stuff. These are I'm a little more concerned about because they are actual structural pieces. But I'm gonna bake them and we're gonna see how it goes. And then the other thing I did is over here, I laid it out exactly how it is on the pan so that when it comes out, I can just stick these back on top of them and know which pieces are which. So that's my plan. These are gonna go in the oven now. You may have noticed that I have a new microphone. Apparently sometimes I forget to turn it on. This was one of those times. So I'm just talking here about how the cookies really didn't puff up as they baked, so you can still really see the gouges from taking the templates off. But I decided to use them anyway, and this is just me putting back on the template pieces so that I can remember which piece is what for all of these little pieces. I think I will also put just a little bit of flour on so the template pieces don't stick quite as badly. But it's really noticeable when you use flour, and you can't really brush it off once it's cooked or even when it's not cooked. So I don't want to use much of it. All right, I have this next piece all rolled out. And like I said, I think what I'm going to do is just kind of pat the templates with the flour. Try not to get it all over the dough. So I'm just going to keep cutting these out, and I will bring you back when I'm ready to start cutting out some of the bigger pieces. But I don't think you need to sit here and watch me cut out all these little finicky bits. All right, see you in a bit. Alrighty, I have actually cut out the roof sections already. We are going to see if we can get these two side pieces on this guy. Just going to roll it out a tiny bit more. And one of the things you want to think about too when you're rolling it out, you might think, well, it would be better to go for thick so they're strong. But especially any of the like roof pieces, you don't want them so thick that they're really heavy, because that's also going to cause problems. So it's kind of a fine line between thick enough and not too heavy. Let's get this guy. Now these pieces also are window pieces, so I'm going to have to cut out my windows, and I foolishly did not actually cut them out of my templates yet. So trying to decide if I should go get my knife and cut them. I probably should, rather than trying to eyeball it and freehand it, because I'm not very good freehand. All right, I'm gonna go get my X-Acto knife and cut these guys out. Well, this is going to be a bit tedious because there's a lot of windows. All right. And I also need to decide if I want to cut the door out or if I just want to cut the window out and then like with the panes, just put the kind of paint the door on. I'll have to think about that a little bit more. I think I mentioned I'm going to use isomalt to actually make the windows themselves. I've only used it one other time. And it actually went fine, so I think it'll be okay. But it does make me a little bit nervous. I'm going to leave the door for right now and just do windows. Got them all cut out. I did decide to leave the door whole and just cut out the window for it. And I'll just put it on with frosting. But I do need to do that here as well. And this actually went quite a bit quicker than I was expecting it to. So that's nice. All right, now we can go cut these out of the gingerbread. This is our last piece of the house. We still need to do the barn, but the barn doesn't have nearly as many fiddly bits, so it should go pretty quickly. And I believe I should have just exactly enough dough, maybe a little bit left over for some gingerbread horses, gingerbread men, maybe, we'll see. This is going to be a multi-day process because I'm definitely not going to be doing any decorating or putting it together construction tonight. I will get everything baked and then we will come at it again tomorrow. I think I mentioned this also in the beginning of the video, but also be prepared to use a lot of parchment paper because what I found is as the more I rolled with the two pieces, they'd get wrinkly and you couldn't like get the wrinkles out. So it kept putting them into the dough. So I'd have to get a fresh sheet out and use them. And then I'm also to transfer them from like this sheet for the smaller pieces, I was putting another sheet on top of it and then flipping it over, peeling it off, and that would go on the pan. This one I'm just gonna leave just like it is. It's gonna go on a pan all by itself. But yeah, I have used a lot of parchment paper. New day. I did get all of the pieces done last night. However, we had a bit of a mishap. And even though I know that our cats get into anything that we leave out, I thought I had covered it well enough. Clearly, I did not. So this was the biggest piece, of course. So I just redid that and it is sitting over there cooling. It should be cool here pretty quickly. So in the meantime, we are going to make the royal icing now, and it's super simple. It just calls for 4 egg whites, 6 cups of powdered sugar, and a half teaspoon cream of tartar. I'm thinking I'm gonna make a little bit more because again, this is for 2 houses. So I'll do 1.5 times again. Yeah, we'll do 1.5 times. So I'm actually using not egg replacer, egg white powder instead of egg whites because I have it and I don't have eggs, so I might as well. And this is what I've used in the past to make royal icing, and it's always worked perfectly. I don't remember. So 1 large egg white, 1 tablespoon egg white, and 3 tablespoons of water. So this is going to be, so we need 6 egg whites, so 6 tablespoons. And you can get egg white protein pretty much anywhere. The one I'm using is called Just Egg Whites, or It's Just Egg Whites, egg white protein. And I did have to order this. I don't know, it's been quite a few years, so you might be able to get it in the stores now. Supposedly this is best by 10/22, but I think it will still be fine for royal icing. All right, and then we need, so 3 times 6 is 18 tablespoons. Let me figure out how many cups that is. All right, so 16 tablespoons is 1 cup. And then we just need 2 more. 18. Right, and then 6, so 9 cups of powdered sugar. All right, 9 cups of powdered sugar. I'm going to need to add that to my list to restock on. And then we need 3/4 of a teaspoon of creamy tartar. Basically. And then we just stick it on the mixer and whip it up for 5 to 6 minutes until stiff peaks form. And beat it on high. I'm going to let things get mixed in before I shoot powdered sugar everywhere. There we go. You can see that this is nice and stiff here. So this will work perfectly. However, it just dawned on me that I need to do the windows first. So next we are actually going to get the isomalt melting on the stove. It has to get to 320 degrees, so it's going to take a minute. So I'm going to put a damp paper towel on top of the icing so that it doesn't start crusting over, because it actually dries pretty quickly. Not this huge amount, like super fast, but the top would, and I don't want that to happen. So just gonna clean the beater off and then put a paper towel over this, and then we'll start with the isomalt. I actually thought I had an open bag of this, but apparently it did not make the move. So we'll just use this one. So we do 2 cups of isomalt and 1/2 cup of hot water in a heavy saucepan over medium heat until dissolved. Bring it up to 320 degrees. But I don't recall it being super difficult. We'll see. I think the biggest thing is that it does harden pretty quick. It says you only need to give it 10 minutes before you should handle it. So you kind of have to move fast once it has gotten to temperature. So that said, I'm going to get all of the pieces that need this onto pans so that I can pour them right away. I imagine you can probably do this with sugar if you are super confident. But isomalt, I think it has stuff in it that protects it from going crystallizing on you and probably has a little more strength than if you just did straight sugar. But you could do straight sugar. The other option that you have is to use like butterscotch candies or Jolly Ranchers. If you want colored windows, you can, or colored whatever, you can use those as well. I am completely unsure what happened here, but it is not supposed to turn dark like that. But I don't have another bag of it, so we are just going to make do. So I think I'm just going to use the spoon and just pour it in. Hopefully not dripping it everywhere. I think the only other way to really do this would be to, oh yeah, it hardens fast. Whew. It might be better just to leave it and try and pull it off afterwards. Is to put it into like something that has a pour spout, but it's so hot I wouldn't want to put it in anything else right now. And the spoon just got really hot too. Oh, I wish it wasn't doing that. Anybody have any ideas for how to not have this happen? No, no. All right, I'm just gonna hope that it will come off when it's hard without breaking anything. Nope, it will not. Wow, this hardens fast. Okay. Darn. Maybe we'll use the other side, but yeah, I don't think that's going to work either. All right, well, we are just going to keep going, and it is what it is. I'm less concerned if I don't get the barn windows done, but I'd really like to get the house windows all done. Oh, see, this is what I should have done. I should have just left the templates on them. That would have been smart. All right, we are going to have to cut it there. Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm going to just take this out. We will just not have windows on the barn, that side of the barn. We have windows on the other side of the barn. All right. All right, well, I'm going to put this in the sink to soak because that is now hard as a rock. And it is time to start decorating and constructing. So we're going to move into the dining room. So I'm going to turn this off. We're going to move into the dining room and do this on the table so I can sit down. So once again, I forgot to turn on my microphone. It's new to me. I'll get it. So a couple more voiceovers. Right here, I am trying to figure out how to make the barn red. So I'm using these broken pieces to do a couple of tests. You can see the one on the right, I tried to just paint just the gingerbread with the red food dye, and that did not work, clearly. So this one, I am going to put the frosting on first and then paint it with the red dye and see if that works. I'll have to let the frosting dry though, so we will go on to the third option. This one is putting the dye in the frosting and mixing it up and trying to use that. However, it really didn't work at all either. As you can see, it's kind of a beigey, pinky, not red color. So we gave up on that one. So at this point, I'm getting ready to start decorating and frosting, so just gathering some frosting tips. However, I don't actually end up using them much and just end up putting a hole in the end of the bag because when I made the frosting, I really should have beat together the egg white powder and water first and then added the sugar because the egg whites got all clumped up and they kept plugging up my frosting tips. I also decided that it would probably be a good idea to practice. I am starting to do with the roofs and I want to do some shingle-like design and yeah, decided I really needed to practice. I highly recommend this if you haven't done it before because you do get better as you go along. Once I did start on the roofs, you'll see here in a second that I start having trouble with those egg whites clogging up my thing, and so they got really pretty messy. There you see it's skipping. So I actually I do both roofs, and then I end up wiping it all off and starting over again with the just the hole at the end of the bag. Because that way I was able to easily clean out the little clogs as they happened, which I couldn't do with the frosting tip. I've moved on to the actual sides of the house now and couldn't quite decide what I wanted to do, but knew I wanted to keep it simple. So just ended up doing these dots all the way around all of the windows. And you can see too that I have frosted on the window panes for each of the windows. A brief look at the inspiration for this house. I promise we'll get real sound back here very quickly, but I just wanted to show you, this is where I'm trying to get those little clogs out of the frosting bag. But here I'm making little window boxes to decorate on the back of the house. All right, so I made these little wreath guys. They should just pop up off the paper once they're dry. And I made them for the doors, but my doors are pretty little and like this would cover up the entire window. So maybe they could go right here and look okay. Well, we'll see once they dry. All right, I think we are going to try doing some construction on the house. All right. I'm going to lay some glue on the ground with one that's going to actually work for me. Like that. And then this guy here is going to go along this side. Like so. And then I'll just take this. There we go. So the key to construction, first of all, is patience. You need a lot of patience. And the second is you want to make sure that you're not using too much of the frosting. Otherwise, it takes a really long time for it to set. So you just want to be aware that you're not putting like big, huge chunks of, or streams of frosting on things. All right, and it's good to have little things that you can use to support as well. All right, so that's that. And then this guy goes like this. Right? No, this guy does not go like that. This guy goes over here. See, and I did that wrong. We need to give this a little more space. I'm just going to put some on the bottom and along the side where it's going to meet this house. And try and make sure that it's somewhat square. Or we're going to have trouble down the road here. All right, the moment of truth. Does the back wall fit? Oh, except that it's on the wrong side. Oh, you guys, I knew this was going to happen. This is supposed to be here. Oh, you can't see it. Yeah. This point is supposed to be with this point, not that one. So like that. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. All right, so do I bake again? Well, except that I don't have any more. So this is what the back side of it looks like. It's got some thick, some of the ISO melt stuff is kind of thick on the back side, but since I'm putting decoration, I feel like I could just decorate it. And nobody will know that the inside is also decorated. I knew this was going to happen. Ugh. But the good news is it is going to fit, which is amazing. Very, very exciting. Ugh, definitely not ideal. So, I mean, I could probably pop these windows out and just use them because they'll be the same size if I rebake it for the third time. What do I do, you guys? What do I do? What do I do? I'm not going to be happy using this as the back or the face of the back. So we are going to rebake and try again tomorrow. This is all going to wait until tomorrow now. So we'll see you then. All right, we went to the store. They did not have isomalts, but they did have butterscotch candies. And I just put it in a pan with a little bit of water and melted them. I could have gone into town and probably found isomalt at Michael's or Joann's, but I didn't want to run all the way into town. I hope this is enough. And yes, these windows are definitely going to be much more amber colored than the other ones, but at least they'll be windows. Because I plan to put lights inside. So I want them to be able to be seen through the windows, or have it be light through the windows. All right. Everybody full? I believe so. All right, so we're just going to let that set now and should be pretty quick. All right, while we are waiting for that to harden up, let's see how this worked out. Probably should have picked up more of this while I was. Oh, I love it. Now this will be perfect. All right, I think that's going to work for me. So I'm going to go find the other 3 pieces and repeat. So this is the barn roof, and I'm going to try something a little different on this one. Use the paintbrush and try to make like a shingle look, kind of. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, actually, I'm liking it. This bad boy, hopefully, is now ready to come off. Yes, perfect. All right, now we can finally decorate. Oops. I think it is time to start constructing the barn. All right, are we looking squarish? Yeah, mostly. I think so. Okay. Scale-wise, maybe not the best. I thought the barn was going to be a little bit smaller. Actually, I thought the barn was going to look too small, but apparently not. So next time, I probably would like cut the barn down just a couple inches. I forgot, I also need to put together the chimney. So this is actually going to sit right here on the house. I'm gonna kind of be stuck out a little bit, so it gives it a little bit of depth. So that's what I'm putting together now, is that little bump out. I think I wanted it on the inside. Because I want these to get dry. Before it's time to put them on the house. So what do I want to do here? Oh, very carefully try to cut the top of this off. That's what we're going to try and do. Okay, that worked. Oh, okay. A little nerve-wracking. I do have some extra pieces that I was thinking I would use for like fence posts and stuff. So if I need to piece something together, I do have pieces for it, which is somewhat reassuring. There we go. All right, then we're going to set this guy aside to let it dry a bit. Let's put it over there for now. And then this is the top of the chimney. Okay, there's that. And then I think the only other little pieces I have are for the back little porch thingy. So that's this guy. Which will have this and these. So let's do that next. Okay, and then this will go on a step here. Just like that. And these little wreaths actually came out really good. So I'm thinking putting it right here would look awfully cute. So this one I'm gonna, because it is gonna be vertical, I'm gonna put the frosting on and then just let it set there for a minute so it starts to harden, and then I'll be able to pop this on. All right, so now the only thing left to do is finish decorating the back of the house. Let us put this last piece of house on here. And then I need to go get the lights because we need to put them in before we put the roof on. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to put them on. All right, looking at this barn, it is definitely a little cockeyed. That's all right. We were not going for perfection, clearly, at all, on this project. And I think that that's the key is, you know, especially if you've never done this before, but even if you have and you feel like, oh, I have to make it perfect, it has to be amazing, it kind of takes all the fun out of it, at least for me. So, I mean, obviously I try my best, but mostly it's for fun. So, all right, I'm going to do the same thing with this frosting because especially these little side ones are really steep. So I'm going to let it dry for a little bit before I try to put the things on. While we're waiting for that, I thought I'd just mention it would really mean a ton to me if you would subscribe to my channel and come back and join me some more. All right, we definitely cannot put the top pieces on until these are much more solid. So, and I kind of want to wait a little bit longer for this as well. So let's take a little, oh, you know what I wanted to do? I actually want to decorate the roof a little bit, the house roof. with some like glitter snowy stuff. So let's do that. We are going to take the plunge. So first things first is this side. Oops. Let's make a mess already. And that is this shorter guy here. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. Oop. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. That pretty equal. I have to admit, I was really concerned that this piece was going to be decorated on the wrong side again. But it's not. Oh dear, there's a very big gap there. Oops, don't do that, Karina. Which I can't really fix without making it super crooked. So once again, frosting will be to the rescue. Oh, I guess because that is supporting it. Nice. Considering my not so great math skills and the fact that I have never built a template for myself before, I'm pretty impressed with this, I have to say. Well, my views aren't quite equal either, but okay. Okay. I have candies stuck to my feet all over the floor. All right, that should be good. All right, I'm not going to touch anything else right now. Definitely there are still little touches I want to add to both the barn and the house, but we're going to let everything just set and do its thing for right now. And we will come back after dinner and do those final touches on things. Oh, but I'm very happy with this. Well, I'm not sure what I was thinking here. Well, anyway. Oh, I have a roof for that somewhere. I had a roof. Where'd my roof go? I totally forgot about that. Definitely had a roof for the balcony. I distinctly remember that. Did I use it for something else? Oh, this roof is supposed to be here. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. I think I can fix that though. I think that's a fairly easy, just kind of break it off and put it up top. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll come back. You'll come back after dinner when we put on finishing touches. All right, we have finished. I'm just going to show you really quickly the last little finishing touches that I did. So we added some icicles and just the little dots around the windows there. Added the little fences on both sides and decorated them. Little path. Kind of did the roof line. Oh, I moved this roof to where it's supposed to be. thankfully that went with no problems. And then added these little just pillars that it doesn't need it for support, but thought it looked good. Little pathway, put the snow on the ground, put the little wreath up on the barn here. And then if we go around the side and back, I didn't really do anything else on this side, but just so you can kind of get a glimpse of what it all looks like. And then over here, I managed to remember to put the wire down through before this all hardened. So it's actually on the ground. Unfortunately, that one I did not. So it's through the window, but that's okay. The window is open anyway, so it worked perfectly. But yeah, so I did decorate the little stoop back here a tiny bit, but didn't really do much, just added the snow all around. And then now you get to see it with the lights on inside. So let me show you that. And there it is. Isn't it so pretty? I think it just looks amazing. And actually, I really like the barn in this lower light. I think it looks a lot better, quite honestly. Not quite as rough and ready, but yeah, I just think it looks so pretty. And again, come around the side here and the back. Yeah, these windows are a little more orange than these. But that's okay. They're not right next to each other, at least. So it doesn't, you can't really tell, which is nice. But yeah, that's how it all turned out. So there we have it, our gingerbread homestead. So I hope this encourages you to try this out if you've ever wanted to do gingerbread and been intimidated by it. I know this is a little more over the top than just kind of your standard gingerbread, but you know what? You saw all the failures and the redos and the catastrophes of the cats breaking things and having to redo things. It's part and parcel of it, and you still end up with something that you absolutely love. At least I absolutely love it. So I hope you enjoyed it and you give this a try, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night. Bye.